If cooking scares you, but you've been giving it a try, these are 6 signs that you're gonna overcome your cooking anxiety. So keep going. If this is your first time seeing my face, hi, I'm Rose. I post videos for people who are anxious about cooking, who don't know where to start, because just a few years ago, that used to be me. And I want to share my journey to inspire, help other people who are in the same position to show you that it's actually possible. If you put in the effort, if you do the right things to overcome your fear of the kitchen, you can actually get to that point. So let's get right into it. The first sign is that cooking still scares you a little bit, but you still do it regardless. That takes a lot of courage. And over time, all those trial and error, they will build your confidence. Because when you practice something over and over and over, you get better at it. It just happens, right? You know the saying, do it scared, but do it anyway. This also applies to cooking. Let's say you're someone who's been anxious about cooking, but you want to learn for whatever reason, because there are actually a lot of benefits to learning how to cook. I actually talk about that in one of my videos. I'll link it somewhere up here so you can go watch that after this video, of course. But let's say you want to learn how to cook for whatever reason. Consistency is what's gonna get you there, because learning to cook is not a sprint, it's a marathon. It's funny because I was watching back to some of my older videos, and I've been saying that learning how to cook is not a race, it's a marathon, but a marathon is still a race. I meant to say it's not a sprint. Okay. I was nervous because it was my first YouTube video, and my second, and my third, and my fifth, I think. But you see how I learned over time? That's exactly what happens with cooking. The first meal you make might turn out to be a complete disaster, but the second one will be less of a disaster. The third one will be better. The fourth one will be better. And over time, you're just going to get better and better and better. But that only happens if you keep going. If I gave up after my first YouTube video, I wouldn't be correcting myself today, right? So even if you're scared to do it scared and improve over time. Sign number 2, you rely less and less on recipes. I've said it before, I don't think recipes are bad. They're actually great, and we should actually be thankful for them because someone took the time to put them together. However, I always say you don't want to 100% rely on recipes to learn how to cook. Why? Because then you depend on recipes to cook anything. That's not confidence. That's just you following directions. It's great to know how to follow directions because then you can replicate a recipe and have the food turn out exactly like whoever created the recipe intended for the food to turn out. But you have to keep in mind that people who create recipes, they have their own taste, they have their own lifestyle, they have their own health conditions. So that doesn't mean it's going to be the same as yours. I always say try to adapt recipes to your own taste, your own lifestyle, your own health conditions, because that's when you build actual confidence. In the beginning, it's okay to rely on recipes if that helps you get started, right? But little by little, try to tap into your creativity. Try to swap things out, or try to cook without a recipe. And then if you get to a point where you really don't know what to do, then you can go back to the recipe. So if you're finding yourself looking at recipes less, or instead of following them word for word, you're starting to, freestyle a little bit in the kitchen, that's a sign that you're going to overcome your fear of cooking. Because when we are afraid of something going wrong, we tend to go really by the book. Like you follow every single word because you're so terrified that something is going to go wrong. Once you start relying less and less on recipes, that's when you know you're building confidence. That's how you know you're going to overcome your cooking anxiety. The third sign is that one mistake doesn't ruin everything for you. I remember when I first started cooking, if I messed one thing up, I was like, oh my goodness, I'm so bad at this. This is why I don't know how to cook. I would go on and on about it, or I would just give up right then and there and be like, okay, dinner's ruined. I'm going to bed. But you don't let one mistake affect you. I purposely post my cooking fails if I catch them on camera because I'm not always recording when I'm cooking. If I'm recording a recipe and it happens, great, but I don't purposely mess things up in the kitchen just to film them because I don't like wasting food. But if it does happen, I do show that because it shows you that things don't always go as planned in the kitchen. Sometimes things go really south, but if you get to a point where like little mistakes don't bother you as much anymore and you get to a point where you actually enjoy it or like you think it's a little silly or like okay, it's just a lesson. That doesn't mean I shouldn't keep going. That's another sign, because if you're anxious about something, whatever small little detail that goes wrong, it could turn into a whole thing, like a big issue. If despite that, you're still going, despite that, you're still trying to be better, that's a good sign. Number four, you're starting to trust your intuition a lot more. This kind of ties into number two because you're relying less on recipes, like I mentioned, but it's not just about recipes. It's about let's say you're trying to reorganize your kitchen to make things better for you, to have a better flow. I actually talk about that in my latest video where I gave 5 hacks that actually make cooking easier. When you have a kitchen with a nice flow, it actually makes your cooking experience better. So when I say you start trusting your intuition, it's not just in the heat of the moment. It's not just when it comes to following recipes. It's also when it comes to how you organize your kitchen, like where you put things to know, okay, this is the area where I'm going to chop, measure my food. This is the area where I'm going to put my utensils. You start trusting your instincts more and you start finding ways to make the experience better for you overall. So, if this is starting to happen to you, this is a good sign because if you're doing that, that means you want to cook more. And the more you cook, the more comfortable you're going to become in the kitchen. And that's going to help you overcome your cooking anxiety. The next sign is that you recover faster after a bad day in the kitchen. Well, when I say bad day, I'm talking like a meal didn't turn out the way you planned, or I don't know, you had a little oopsie in the kitchen, like a cut from a knife or a burn. Because, things like that happen when you're cooking. It's part of the experience, pros and cons, right? But you don't dwell on those anymore. Let's say the fear of hurting yourself was one of the reasons why you were scared to cook. If you weren't at a point where you were getting closer to overcome that fear, that could be such a big deal to you because that was one of the things that were holding you back. But if it takes you less time to recover from things like that, to get back into cooking even after something that you didn't want to happen or something that you tried to avoid happen, that's actually a good sign because things are always going to happen whether we like it or not. It's life. It's how it goes. Is it fair? I don't know, but whether we like it or not, there's gonna be challenges every single day. You're probably going through a challenge right now in your life, right? So things like that are going to happen. If you're starting to notice that it takes you less time to recover from those things, that's a really good sign. Lastly, your inner dialogue has changed when it comes to cooking. For me, I noticed that when I switched from there's no way I can make this meal to I see something online, like a meal, for example. I like it, I want to try it, and I go, I'm going to make this and it's going to taste amazing. You try more things, you get inspired seeing other people cook. You're thinking about meals that you can make, you're thinking about um things that you want to try. It's no longer I'm so bad at this, I don't want to do this, I'm scared of this is never going to work, or I'm going to burn myself, I'm going to cut a few fingers off. No, we're not thinking like that anymore. You're thinking more positively. Not that you don't think anything negative is going to happen. It's more like instead of thinking, I can't do this or this is never going to work, you start thinking, I'm scared, but I'm still going to make this work. I'm still going to give it a try. I don't really know what I'm doing, but I'm going to ask for help. I'm going to make it happen. That is a really good sign that you're going to overcome your cooking anxiety because you're taking the steps necessary to get to that point. You're no longer being held back by your fear of whatever that fear is. You're no longer being held back by it. So if this sounds like you, please keep going. Don't give up because you're so close. So close. And even if you're not that close yet, you're on your way and eventually you're gonna get there. I'm rooting for you because you're making progress. And if you're someone you're just getting started, you're not at that point yet, don't worry, I have the perfect thing for you. In this video right here, I talk about the 5 most common reasons why people are scared to start and 5 action steps you can take starting today to help you overcome your cooking anxiety. All right? I'll see you there. Bye for now. This has nothing to do with cooking, but I recorded this from my front camera today and I'm not too mad about it. I actually really like this. It took me a second to focus on the camera because I kept looking over here because that's where the screen is. But I don't know. Should I start recording like this? Watch this setup turn out to be absolutely horrible. Anyways, bye.